Welcome back, traders. I'm back from my trip, but funny enough, I'm only back for about a week and a half, and then I got another trip planned out of the country. But this time I will be bringing my laptop, so I will be able to do some trading. I can make some videos, etc. But while I was gone, it looks like ICT did put out a few lectures. So a few of them, they look kind of short and looks like just reviews. So hopefully nothing too complicated. I can knock those out right away. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to give you my market outlook. So let's go straight into the charts and take a look at this weekly outlook. So here's the weekly chart for S&P, and you can see that I'm looking at this fair value gap. I'm looking at it now as inversion now that we are trading above it. So I'm looking at this as a weekly inversion SIBI. This week I'm targeting this high right here. It is within a weekly SIBI as well, but this is the last swing high that we have on the weekly chart. And the reason why I'm so bullish, because you can see up here we do have relative equal highs here. 1, 2, 3 is very flat. I think we can eventually get all the way up there, but of course we don't want to be too locked in on the long-term target. The nearby target is going to be the swing high going into this week. Now going down into the daily, you can see that Wednesday here we did come down pretty low, creating the low of the week so far, and I do think that this should be the low of the week for this week. And then here, 50% of this wick, this is pretty much where I have my last line of defense. It doesn't really make sense for price to go below this low anymore. You can see that when we came back down here, we're going into this balanced price range, staying in the upper 50%. So I think the downward movement is done. Although anything can happen in the market, especially this week being non-farm payroll, I think there is a chance we could go down below this low and come back into this daily volume imbalance, but I don't think the probability is very high. So that is why I'm using 50% of this wick as my last line of defense. Now, ideally, we don't even get there because we have this weekly fair value gap that I'm looking at as an inversion fair value gap. It's paired with a daily volume balance and then around 50% of it too. So I anticipate this will hold up as support and bounce price up for the weekly target above this swing high. And on the way, we do have this short-term high as well. This could be a nice place to take partials. Now, taking a quick look at the 4-hour, I know there's a bunch of lines, but the important thing is right here. You can see that 50% of that daily lower wick, it's basically aligned with this big down candle on the 4-hour, and it's pretty much 50% of it. So this is the mean threshold as well. So I don't really want to see price close below the mean threshold on an hourly basis. In fact, I don't even want to see this entire 4-hour fair value gap get closed in. I want to see this remain unfilled. It could come back down to about 50% on that weekly inversion fair value gap, but I pretty much don't want to see this entire thing closed in at all. And then I want to see price go up for that short-term target as well as that weekly target on the buy side. Now moving on to Nasdaq on the weekly chart, pretty much the same story. You can see the relative equal highs up here. I think that we will eventually long-term be looking for that, but the short-term target is going to be this swing high here. It is within a weekly fair value gap. It may not take the high, it may just come up here to make relative equal highs. So I would definitely encourage you to keep an eye on this weekly SIBI and use that as your profit target. Going down to the daily, you can see that this swing high is my target for the week. We do have a short-term high here. It looks very close. Perhaps we can create relative equal highs, and this would be a nice place to take partial. Hopefully it doesn't just go through it right away, as we do still have Friday left. Today is Thursday. I'm doing this right now. It's 6 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, 8:30. Remember, on 8:30 on Friday, we do have non-farm payroll. So that's when it could be really crazy, really wild. I kind of, with non-farm payroll, it's always like a 50-50 chance, but I'm kind of thinking that we're going to have a really big move up. But remember, you don't want to be trading non-farm payroll. It is pretty much a 50-50 gamble. You can't really tell what's going to happen because we could come down below this low and go back into this daily volume balance. And that would not be good if you get slipped all of this move right here. But still, just like ES, I'm using 50% of this lower wick on the daily as my last line of defense. It also lines up with a weekly volume imbalance. So that's pretty much where I have my last line of defense. And I'm looking for price to come up to take the buy side above this swing high. Again, taking a quick look at the 4-hour for Nasdaq, you can see that this down candle of 50% is right around here. That will be mean threshold. That's where we have the weekly volume imbalance along with 50% of that lower daily wick. But just like ES, we have this pretty large 4-hour fair value gap that I don't want to see close in. We could come into it and then I will look for any kind of long setup that I can get within this 4-hour fair value gap, but I really don't want to see it close in. It could, that we find, as long as we start running away from it once we get into this order block. And then of course I'm looking for a short-term partial above this high, and my ultimate target is going to be this high within that weekly Sibia. The main thing is this 4-hour fair value gap. I don't really want to see it close in. I want to be looking for long setups within this 4-hour fair value gap. And you can see that this drop down on Wednesday, I think is going to be the low of the week. We hit a 1-hour fair value gap and then we start bouncing away, creating a fair value gap over here. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to be the low of the week. But remember, non-farm payroll Friday, anything can happen. So that's going to do it this time. I do have a lot of things to catch up on. I got to give you my lecture notes on those ICT lectures. I want to put out some more back testing videos as well. But one thing at a time, I thought it was the most important for me to give you my take on the market as soon as I got back. So here it is. Hope you got some insight from it. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't done so, and until I catch you guys next time, safe trading.